The little girl carefully untied her worn ballet shoes, folded them with heartbreaking care, and quietly told her teacher she wouldn't be coming back because her daddy had counted every dollar 3 times and still couldn't make the numbers work. Before the child reached the studio door, the ballet teacher stood up with tears in her eyes and said 7 words that would forever change all of their lives: "Then we'll change the rules, not your dream. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue sharing stories that remind us that compassion has the power to rewrite even the hardest chapters of life." At 38, Rowan Bennett had become an expert at carrying invisible burdens. Every morning before sunrise, he loaded delivery trucks for a local food distributor. Every afternoon, he repaired small appliances from a workbench inside his garage to earn a little extra money. Every evening belonged entirely to his 7-year-old daughter, Marin, the brightest part of a life that had once been filled with unbearable grief. 3 years earlier, Rowan had lost his wife, Claire, after a sudden illness that gave their family almost no time to prepare. Overnight, he became both mother and father, learning hairstyles from online videos, packing school lunches, sewing loose buttons, and comforting nightmares while quietly hiding his own tears until Marin had fallen asleep. Despite everything they had lost, one dream remained untouched. Marin loved ballet. She didn't love it because she imagined fame or applause. She loved the way music made difficult feelings feel lighter. Whenever she danced around the living room in oversized socks, Rowan saw something he hadn't witnessed since Claire was alive. Pure joy. Claire had always promised they would someday enroll Marin in proper dance lessons. After her passing, Rowan spent months saving enough money to honor that promise. Eventually, he found a small neighborhood ballet academy called Willow Studio, a welcoming place where children were encouraged to grow through kindness rather than competition. The instructor was a woman named Celeste Ashford. She had danced professionally years earlier before a serious ankle injury unexpectedly ended her career. Instead of allowing disappointment to define her future, she dedicated herself to teaching children that confidence mattered far more than perfection. From Marin's very first lesson, Celeste noticed something extraordinary. The little girl wasn't the strongest dancer. She wasn't the most technically gifted. But she listened with her whole heart. She celebrated every classmate's success. Whenever another child forgot choreography, Marin quietly smiled encouragingly instead of judging them. She danced as though gratitude itself guided every movement. Weeks became months. The studio slowly became a second home. Rowan waited patiently outside every Saturday afternoon, often repairing broken benches or tightening loose cabinet handles simply because he noticed things needing attention. Celeste frequently thanked him. He always insisted it was nothing. Neither realized how deeply they admired each other's quiet generosity. Then everything changed. The food distribution company where Rowan worked announced unexpected staffing reductions after losing several major contracts. His hours were reduced almost in half. The garage repair business barely covered groceries. Every evening became another painful exercise in impossible choices. Electricity. Rent. School supplies. Medicine. Dance lessons. He stretched every dollar until nothing remained to stretch. For several nights, Rowan sat alone after Marin fell asleep, staring at unpaid bills while searching desperately for another solution. He sold old tools. Cancelled every unnecessary expense. Skipped meals more often than anyone knew. Still, the numbers refused to cooperate. Finally, he accepted the decision that broke his heart more than any other. One bright Saturday afternoon, Rowan walked Marin into Willow Studio carrying her ballet bag with unusually heavy hands. He explained they needed to speak with Celeste after class. Marin quietly nodded. Children often understand difficult moments long before adults believe they do. After rehearsal ended, Marin carefully removed her ballet slippers. She folded them neatly. Then she thanked Celeste for believing in her before softly explaining she wouldn't be coming back because her daddy tried very hard, but sometimes love alone couldn't pay tuition. Rowan stood nearby, unable to speak. Failure had never felt heavier. Before either reached the studio entrance, Celeste gently asked them to wait. She looked first at Marin. Then at Rowan. Finally, with complete certainty, she quietly said they wouldn't be changing the child. They would change the rules. She explained that dreams should never disappear simply because someone experiences hardship. Beginning immediately, Willow Studio would introduce a community scholarship program. Families unable to afford lessons could contribute through acts of service instead of monthly payments. Gardening, repairs, cleaning, bookkeeping. Every family possessed gifts worth sharing. Rowan protested. He insisted charity wasn't what he wanted. Celeste smiled gently. She explained it wasn't charity. It was community. Communities grow stronger when everyone contributes according to their abilities rather than their bank accounts. News of the new program quietly spread throughout town. Something remarkable happened. A retired accountant volunteered to organize studio finances. A carpenter built new storage shelves. Parents painted classrooms together. A florist decorated recital spaces. One grandmother repaired costumes by hand. Without realizing it, Celeste had created something far more meaningful than affordable dance lessons. She had reminded people how powerful shared kindness could become. Marin continued dancing. Not because someone rescued her. Because an entire community chose to believe every child's dream deserved a chance. Over the following months, Rowan spent countless afternoons repairing studio furniture, maintaining heating systems, building costume racks, and improving playground equipment behind the building. He discovered genuine pride replacing embarrassment. For the first time since Claire's passing, he no longer felt alone carrying life's weight. Celeste quietly admired everything she observed. She noticed Rowan never accepted recognition for his work. Whenever another parent thanked him, he simply smiled before helping someone else. She also noticed how deeply Marin adored her father. Every recital drawing featured him sitting proudly in the audience. Every school essay described him as the bravest person she knew. Watching them together gradually softened places inside Celeste's own heart that years of disappointment had quietly closed. Long before becoming a teacher, she had once dreamed about building a family. After her dance career ended unexpectedly, relationships slowly faded as she devoted herself entirely to rebuilding her purpose. Meeting Rowan reminded her that beautiful futures sometimes arrive wearing work boots instead of polished shoes. One spring afternoon, another challenge threatened Willow Studio. The building owner announced substantial rent increases. Without additional funding, the academy would likely close within several months. Parents felt devastated. For dozens of children, the studio represented safety, friendship, confidence, and belonging. Closing meant losing far more than dance classes. Rowan refused to watch another family lose hope. Using his experience organizing local volunteers after neighborhood storms, he proposed transforming the annual spring recital into a community arts festival. Local musicians, food vendors, craft artisans, children's performances. Every dollar raised would help preserve the studio. Celeste embraced the idea immediately. Preparation united the entire town. Businesses donated supplies. Neighbors offered advertising. Volunteers built stages beneath bright afternoon skies. Children practiced harder than ever, determined to save the place that believed in them. The festival exceeded every expectation. Families filled the park from morning until late afternoon. Music echoed through tree-lined streets. Artists displayed handmade creations. Children performed with joyful confidence. When Marin stepped onto the stage for her solo performance, she wasn't technically perfect. She stumbled once. Then smiled. kept dancing. Finished stronger than she began. The audience rose together in heartfelt applause. Not because she danced flawlessly. Because courage always inspires more deeply than perfection. By the festival's conclusion, enough money had been raised not only to secure another year for Willow Studio but also to permanently establish the Community Scholarship Fund. Parents cried openly. Children celebrated. Hope became something everyone could finally see. Several weeks later, Rowan found an envelope resting beside his toolbox. Inside was a handwritten note from Celeste. She thanked him for reminding her that leadership isn't about carrying every burden alone. It's about giving people opportunities to care for one another. As he finished reading, he realized someone had quietly stepped beside him. Celeste admitted something she had never expected. Changing the studio's rules changed her life too. She had spent years teaching children to trust themselves while quietly forgetting how to trust her own heart. Rowan smiled. He confessed that after losing Claire, he believed loving someone again somehow meant leaving the past behind. Instead, he finally understood that love doesn't replace beautiful memories. It honors them by giving hope another chance to grow. Months passed naturally. Friendship slowly became companionship. Companionship quietly became love. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt forced. Marin noticed first. She began drawing pictures featuring 3 smiling figures instead of 2. One afternoon she handed Celeste a crayon drawing labeled simply, "Our family keeps growing." Neither adult managed to hide their tears. A year after Marin almost left the studio forever, Willow Studio celebrated its largest recital beneath warm afternoon sunshine. Every child, regardless of financial circumstances, performed proudly. Scholarship families stood beside paying families without distinction. Nobody knew who received help. Nobody cared. Everyone belonged equally. Near the recital's conclusion, Rowan walked onto the stage carrying not flowers, but a pair of beautifully restored wooden ballet bars he had handcrafted from reclaimed maple. He thanked Celeste publicly for proving that changing rules built around money could create a future built around compassion. Then, before the entire community that had unknowingly transformed all their lives, he asked whether she would continue building that future beside him forever. Celeste answered through joyful tears before applause even settled. The following spring, they married in the same community park where the arts festival had once saved Willow Studio. Children from every dance class lined the pathway holding wildflowers instead of expensive decorations. Marin proudly walked beside them wearing the brightest smile anyone had ever seen. Years later, Willow Studio became nationally recognized not because it produced famous dancers, but because it became known as the place where no child's dream ended at the cash register. Communities from across the country adopted similar scholarship programs inspired by one teacher's simple decision to change the rules instead of changing a little girl's future. Before this story comes to an end, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a teacher, coach, mentor, or stranger whose kindness completely changed the direction of your life? Or do you believe every child deserves the opportunity to follow their dreams regardless of financial circumstances? Leave a meaningful comment below because your story may become the encouragement someone else desperately needs today. Rowan eventually realized that providing for his daughter meant far more than paying bills. It meant teaching her that asking for help isn't weakness, accepting kindness isn't failure, and communities become families when people choose compassion over judgment. Celeste discovered that the greatest performance of her life never happened on a professional stage. It happened the moment she chose to rewrite unfair rules so a little girl could keep dancing. And Marin grew up knowing that the strongest people aren't always the wealthiest or the most talented. They're the ones brave enough to make room for someone else's dream. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this story remind you that sometimes the most extraordinary change begins when one person has the courage to look at an impossible situation and quietly say, "We'll change the rules."